I actually kind of made a little saying here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. This is original.
That's awesome.
Yeah, might be good.
Might want to trademark it or patent it or something.
Exactly.
We're excited about another week. We just had a record-breaking week last week. Some outstanding numbers, and thanks to a great team. Thanks to all you guys. You are wonderful. You guys are making it happen. We're proud of each one of you. Well, this morning I got my brother Conrad in the house. He's making it happen out there, him and my brother Brian. He's not with us, but I know he's a big part of your company and a big part of what you guys are doing. But I was talking with you the other day, and maybe 2 weeks ago, and you said, I just asked where you're going at with work and everything, and you said, well, we're starting to get caught up a little bit. And I talked with you a couple days later, and you said, man, I don't know how we're going to get everything done. And so I snapped this picture of you here, saying thank you, Jesus.
That's right.
And but then your prayer was, how you going to help me get it all done, So, but no, on a more serious note, I thought it'd be valuable to bring you in here. And we always like to interview guys who are making it happen. And, just say, hey, what are you doing? What can our audience learn from you? So I just thought, hey, give us a couple tips, give us a couple things that's been working for you guys. But what do you do to maybe go from just having enough work to stay busy to being swamped to where you're not sure how you're going to get it all done in one season?
Well, one thing we've been doing different lately than what we used to is I'm spending a lot more time on the road, cold calling, just following up with previous people. Follow-up's huge. Some of the jobs that just came through for us this past week were literally jobs that we bid 2 and 3 years ago, and it's just you stay in, you follow up, and I'm seeing over and over. When you create enough action, that's really a big key is just staying active, staying on the road, following up with people.
Staying active and not letting up. Sometimes people think action's doing things for 3 days straight, right?
Yeah.
But it's not really. It's doing things for 3 years straight, or,
Yeah, you got to stay persistent.
Continuing to push forward and not letting off.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing for like some marketing, things? I know you kind of took our, former business, Double R Roofing on, but obviously you've got your own customers now, and you continue to service some of the customers that we had and keep doing work for them every year. But What are you doing for fresh marketing? What are you doing to keep your name out there?
We're doing a lot of flyers. We've been doing back-to-back each month. This summer we've been dropping 5,000 flyers. But honestly, our best source of leads for the last year at least has been cold calls. And I don't know why, but it's just cold calls seem to work real well for us. We've been having quite a few calls lately off of flyers, but don't underestimate cold calls, definitely.
So you heard it, guys, cold calls, man. And you know what, that's something I hear over and over and over from, I would say the most universal thing that all of our guys have in common with marketing is flyers and cold calls both. And I would say cold calls are going to continue to go up, while flyers might flatline more. A lot of marketing is going to digital marketing, and I'm not saying don't send flyers. I think it's a great thing to do with all your other marketing, because there's still a market there that you're tapping into. But cold calls are something that requires very little of your money, actually. Mostly fuel in the flyer, and then your time. It's probably the most valuable thing you're giving up when you're cold calling is your time. But the reality is, I think people will always like that face-to-face when you walk in. So give us a typical scenario when you're cold calling. How do you handle that when you're walking in, to somebody that you've never met before?
Yep.
Do you ask for the maintenance guy right up front? How do you handle that?
So what I normally typically do is I'll walk in and I'll obviously most times there's a secretary sitting there. I'll be like, hey, how you doing? And a lot of times I'll have a little booklet with some info in it, and I'll be like, hey, is there a maintenance guy around here? Who would I want to talk to about the roof maintenance, about roofing? Who would I want to talk to? Most times they're like, oh, that would be our maintenance guy, John, or that would be the owner. That would be okay, cool. Is he around by any chance? If he's there and they had all got time to come out and I could chat with him, that's great. Otherwise, I just leave it with him, and most times they're more than happy to get it to him. But just be friendly with them, and if you walk in all straight faced and act all serious about everything, chances are they've seen that time after time. But just be friendly with the lady up front, if you ask for it. It's surprising how many times you can actually talk to the maintenance guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
So do you do like, if you don't get to talk to the maintenance guy, or if you do, how do you handle that later? Do you do a follow-up email, follow-up call? How do you typically handle that?
I've done both. I like the follow-up call. I was talking to someone recently, says, man, emails work really good for that as well. So that's something I'm going to try more in the future. But absolutely follow-up. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So obviously, follow-up for a potential client, a potential customer is going to be different than follow-up for people who you've done already bid projects for, or you've already done work and bid new projects, those kind of things. Can you give us a couple maybe tips on follow-up? What are some of your best go-to follow-ups when you've got a bid submitted and it's 2 weeks later or a month later or a year later? What are some of your favorite follow-ups? Obviously, you probably have multiple things that work, but what's kind of your pet ones?
Probably the most one I use, I'll just call them, they say a week later, 2 weeks later, and hey, Conrad here, just checking in, see what you guys are thinking on the roof. You guys ready to do it, or where are you going, and then just kind of roll from there.
Okay, cool. So you're doing work for the same customers over and over at times. Customers that when we had the business, we picked up those customers, and today you still service those customers. How do you handle that relationship as far as, are you calling them back just like the other customers, or are you just waiting for them to call you when they need you because they know you and they know your service? How do you handle those customers? You handle them a lot the same as everybody else that's a new guy that you have, a new client that you have not worked for? What do you typically do there?
No, absolutely, it's different. I mean, we've got relationships with every one of our previous customers. We've got really good relationships. I can call them, text them anytime I want. And so periodically throughout the year, we're in contact with them, whether it's about projects, whether it's about, hey, we got a leak, anything like that. I've called some of them up and said, hey, what are you doing for lunch? Let's go to lunch. Just little ways of staying in touch. Buy them something, stop by the office, drop it off for them. I've been giving some coffee mugs out to some people. Just stop by, hey, how you doing? Just wanted to, check in with you. And one client of ours in Meadville, he loves hunting, And so the other day I stopped by and I dropped him a coffee mug off, and I'm showing him pictures that I got him a trail camera, and I'm asking him about hunting. And it's just a good way to stay in touch, And I'm like, hey, just checking to see what you guys are thinking on the project, or do you have anything in the works, or just, it's a relationship, really, is what it comes down to.
Taking him something nice and saying, hey, in exchange, I'd like to get that contract signed.
Yeah, exactly. I'll trade you, right?
Little bribery. No, it's all good. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's important, little things like that. If you can even stop by and, take a box of donuts at times. Say, hey, you know what? I was just in the area. You don't even have to bring up the roof, maybe. It's just staying in front of them. And sometimes people think, well, that's a waste of time, or because I didn't mention the roof, I didn't bring that up. But the reality is, you're staying in front of them, and I don't care how you do it, whether you bring up the project or not, or whether that comes up or not. Anytime you can stop in and shake his hand and put a smile on your face, you just gave yourself a better shot at getting that project. Yeah.
A little bit ago, I mentioned about leaks. You get called about a leak. Fact is, I don't like leaks, but I actually kind of do like them. Especially, it's bad, it might sound bad, but when that building owner calls you and says, hey, I got a leak, it's just another chance for you to show up. And one of our best customers, guy up in Erie, and he's passed our name around time after time after time, and he'll tell people, listen, they don't always do it right the first time, they have leaks sometimes, but they always show up. And he's like, that's all I care about. And he's told me, he's like, man, you guys are the deal, man. Because he says you could show up. Just yesterday he called me and said, hey, I got a leak on this. Half hour later, I was just down the road, and I just stopped by and I took care of him. And that's all he cares about.
Yeah.
So show service like that. That's
you're going to find when you do show your service like that you're going to have your customers actually get sold more on your company than if you never had that opportunity to do that.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure it's the best if you never have a leak, but it's part of your roofing business. You're going to have a leak now and then.
Yeah.
The longer you do it, the less likely you will be. But look at those things as an opportunity. I would encourage you in all of life, look at the problems as an opportunity rather than a problem. Don't go calling your director going, oh, I got a leak, what do I do? Hey, go take care of it.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah. Okay?
That's what you were out there doing to start with, was fixing a leak. Just go find out where it's leaking and go up on the roof, and likely you missed a screw head or something where it's leaking if it's a metal roof. Or whatever. It's not complicated, but be there within a day, within 24 hours if you can, because that will really sell them on your service.
Yeah.
And trust me, they will tell other people about that. The number one gripe I hear from building owners out there is not that the roofer did a crappy job. It's that the roofer never showed up to take care of his problems.
Yeah.
That's the number one issue.
Yeah.
I think in the commercial roofing industry is people don't come back to fix what they did wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you giving us some insight here, and letting us look into double R roofing a little bit more and what's working for you guys and what you're doing to make it happen. Do you have any closing comment?
I actually kind of made a little saying here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. This is original.
That's awesome.
Yeah, might be good.
Might want to trademark it or patent it or something.
Exactly. If you want to be in the action, you must take action.
So there you have it, guys. Go take action. Have a wonderful week.